Judges, chapter 13. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years. And there was a certain man of Zorah, of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren, and bare not. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto the woman, and said unto her,
Behold now, thou art barren, and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive, and bear a son. Now therefore beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine nor strong drink, and eat not any unclean thing. For lo, thou shalt conceive, and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite unto God from the womb. And he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines.
Then the woman came and told her husband, saying,
A man of God came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of God, very terrible. But I asked him not whence he was, neither told he me his name. But he said unto me, Behold, thou shalt conceive and bear a son. And now drink no wine nor strong drink, neither eat any unclean thing. For the child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb to the day of his death.
Then Manoah entreated the Lord, and said,
O my Lord, let the man of God which thou didst send come again unto us, and teach us what we shall do unto the child that shall be born.
And God hearkened to the voice of Manoah, and the angel of God came again unto the woman as she sat in the field. But Manoah her husband was not with her. And the woman made haste and ran, and showed her husband, and said unto him,
Behold, the man hath appeared unto me that came unto me the other day.
And Manoah arose and went after his wife, and came to the man, and said unto him,
Art thou the man that spakest unto the woman?
And he said,
I am.
And Manoah said,
Now let thy words come to pass. How shall we order the child, and how shall we do unto him?
And the angel of the Lord said unto Manoah,
Of all that I said unto the woman, let her beware. She may not eat of anything that cometh of the vine, neither let her drink wine or strong drink, nor eat any unclean thing. All that I commanded her, let her observe.
And Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord,
I pray thee, let us detain thee until we shall have made ready a kid for thee.
And the angel of the Lord said unto Manoah,
Though thou detain me, I will not eat of thy bread. And if thou wilt offer a burnt offering, thou must offer it unto the Lord.
For Manoah knew not that he was an angel of the Lord. And Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord,
What is thy name, that when thy sayings come to pass we may do thee honor?
And the angel of the Lord said unto him,
Why askest thou thus after my name, seeing it is secret?
So Manoah took a kid with a meat offering, and offered it upon a rock unto the Lord. And the angel did wondrously, and Manoah and his wife looked on. For it came to pass, when the flame went up toward heaven from the altar, that the angel of the Lord ascended in the flame of the altar. And Manoah and his wife looked on it, and fell on their faces to the ground. But the angel of the Lord did no more appear to Manoah and to his wife. Then Manoah knew that he was an angel of the Lord. And Manoah said unto his wife,
We shall surely die, because we have seen God.
But his wife said unto him,
If the Lord were pleased to kill us, he would not have received a burnt offering and a meat offering at our hands. Neither would he have showed us all these things, nor would as at this time have told us such things as these.
And the woman bare a son, and called his name Samson. And the child grew, and the Lord blessed him. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move him at times in the camp of Dan between Zorah and Eshtaol. Judges, chapter 14. And Samson went down to Timnath, and saw a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. And he came up and told his father and his mother, and said,
I have seen a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. Now therefore get her for me to wife.
Then his father and his mother said unto him,
Is there never a woman among the daughters of thy brethren, or among all my people, that thou goest to take a wife of the uncircumcised Philistines?
And Samson said unto his father,
Get her for me, for she pleaseth me well.
But his father and his mother knew not that it was of the Lord, that he sought an occasion against the Philistines. For at that time the Philistines had dominion over Israel. Then went Samson down and his father and his mother to Timnath, and came to the vineyards of Timnath. And behold, a young lion roared against him. And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and he rent him as he would have rent a kid, and he had nothing in his hand. But he told not his father or his mother what he had done. And he went down and talked with the woman, and she pleased Samson well. And after a time he returned to take her, and he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion, and behold, there was a swarm of bees and honey in the carcass of the lion. And he took thereof in his hands, and went on eating, and came to his father and mother, and he gave them, and they did eat. But he told not them that he had taken the honey out of the carcass of the lion. So his father went down unto the woman, and Samson made there a feast, for so used the young men to do. And it came to pass, when they saw him, that they brought 30 companions to be with him. And Samson said unto them,
I will now put forth a riddle unto you. If ye can certainly declare it me within the 7 days of the feast, and find it out, then I will give you 30 sheets and 30 change of garments. But if ye cannot declare to me, then shall ye give me 30 sheets and 30 change of garments.
And they said unto him,
Put forth thy riddle, that we may hear it.
And he said unto them,
Out of the eater came forth meat, and out of the strong came forth sweetness.
And they could not in 3 days expound the riddle. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they said unto Samson's wife,
Entice thy husband, that he may declare unto us the riddle, lest we burn thee and thy father's house with fire. Have ye called us to take that we have? Is it not so?
And Samson's wife wept before him, and said,
Thou dost but hate me, and lovest me not. Thou hast put forth a riddle unto the children of my people, and hast not told it me.
And he said unto her,
Behold, I have not told it my father nor my mother, and shall I tell it thee?
And she wept before him the 7 days while their feast lasted. And it came to pass on the 7th day that he told her, because she lay sore upon him. And she told the riddle to the children of her people. And the men of the city said unto him on the 7th day, before the sun went down,
What is sweeter than honey? And what is stronger than a lion?
And he said unto them,
If ye had not plowed with my heifer, ye had not found out my riddle.
And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he went down to Ashkelon, and slew 30 men of them, and took their spoil, and gave change of garments unto them, which expounded the riddle. And his anger was kindled, and he went up to his father's house. But Samson's wife was given to his companion, whom he had used as his friend. Judges chapter 15. But it came to pass within a while after, in the time of wheat harvest, that Samson visited his wife with a kid. And he said,
I will go into my wife into the chamber.
But her father would not suffer him to go in. And her father said,
I verily thought that thou hadst utterly hated her. Therefore I gave her to thy companion. Is not her younger sister fairer than she? Take her, I pray thee, instead of her.
And Samson said concerning them,
Now shall I be more blameless than the Philistines, though I do them a displeasure.
And Samson went and caught 300 foxes, and took firebrands, and turned tail to tail, and put a firebrand in the midst between 2 tails. And when he had set the brands on fire, he let them go into the standing corn of the Philistines, and burnt up both the shocks and also the standing corn, with the vineyards and olives. Then the Philistines said,
Who hath done this?
And they answered,
Samson, the son-in-law of the Timnite.
because he had taken his wife and given her to his companion.
And the Philistines came up and burnt her and her father with fire. And Samson said unto them,
Though ye have done this, yet will I be avenged of you, and after that I will cease.
And he smote them hip and thigh with a great slaughter, and he went down and dwelt in the top of the rock Etam. Then the Philistines went up and pitched in Judah and spread themselves in Lehi. And the men of Judah said,
Why are ye come up against us?
And they answered,
To bind Samson are we come up, to do to him as he hath done to us.
Then 3,000 men of Judah went to the top of the rock Etam, and said to Samson,
Knowest thou not that the Philistines are rulers over us? What is this that thou hast done unto us?
And he said unto them,
As they did unto me, so have I done unto them.
And they said unto him,
We are come down to bind thee, that we may deliver thee into the hand of the Philistines.
And Samson said unto them,
Swear unto me that ye will not fall upon me yourselves.
And they spake unto him, saying,
No, but we will bind thee fast and deliver thee into their hand, but surely we will not kill thee.
And they bound him with 2 new cords, and brought him up from the rock. And when he came unto Lehi, the Philistines shouted against him, and the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and the cords that were upon his arms became as flax that was burnt with fire, and his bands loosed from off his hands. And he found a new jawbone of an ass, and put forth his hand, and took it, and slew 1,000 men therewith. And Samson said,
With the jawbone of an ass, heaps upon heaps, with the jaw of an ass have I slain 1,000 men.
And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking, that he cast away the jawbone out of his hand, and called the place Ramoth-Lehi. And he was sore athirst, and called on the Lord, and said,
Thou hast given this great deliverance into the hand of thy servant, and now shall I die for thirst, and fall into the hand of the uncircumcised?
But God clave an hollow place that was in the jaw, and there came water thereout. And when he had drunk, his spirit came again, and he revived, wherefore he called the name thereof En-hakkore, which is in Lehi unto this day. And he judged Israel in the days of the Philistines 20 years. Judges, chapter 16. Then went Samson to Gaza, and saw there an harlot, and went in unto her. And it was told the Gazites, saying,
Samson is come hither.
And they compassed him in, and laid wait for him all night in the gate of the city, and were quiet all the night, saying,
In the morning, when it is day, we shall kill him.
And Samson lay till midnight, and arose at midnight, and took the doors of the gate of the city and the 2 posts, and went away with them, bar and all, and put them upon his shoulders, and carried them up to the top of an hill that is before Hebron. And it came to pass afterward that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. And the lords of the Philistines came up unto her, and said unto her,
Entice him, and see wherein his great strength lieth, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him. And we will give thee every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver.
And Delilah said to Samson,
Tell me, I pray thee, wherein thy great strength lieth, and wherewith thou mightest be bound to afflict thee.
And Samson said unto her,
If they bind me with 7 green withs that were never dried, then shall I be weak, and be as another man.
Then the lords of the Philistines brought up to her 7 green withs, which had not been dried, and she bound him with them. Now there were men lying in wait, abiding with her in the chamber. And she said unto him,
The Philistines be upon thee, Samson.
And he brake the withs, as a thread of tow is broken when it toucheth the fire. So his strength was not known. And Delilah said unto Samson,
Behold, thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray thee, wherewith thou mightest be bound.
And he said unto her,
If they bind me fast with new ropes that never were occupied, then shall I be weak and be as another man.
Delilah therefore took new ropes and bound him therewith, and said unto him,
The Philistines be upon thee, Samson.
And there were liars in wait abiding in the chamber, and he brake them from off his arms like a thread. And Delilah said unto Samson,
Hitherto thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound.
And he said unto her,
If thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with the web.
And she fastened it with the pin, and said unto him,
The Philistines be upon thee, Samson.
And he awaked out of his sleep, and went away with the pin of the beam and with the web. And she said unto him,
How canst thou say I love thee, when thine heart is not with me? Thou hast mocked me these 3 times, and hast not told me wherein thy great strength lieth.
And it came to pass, when she pressed him daily with her words, and urged him, so that his soul was vexed unto death, that he told her all his heart, and said unto her,
There hath not come a razor upon mine head, for I have been a Nazarite unto God from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak, and be like any other man.
And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying,
Come up this once, for he hath showed me all his heart.
Then the lords of the Philistines came up unto her, and brought money in their hand. And she made him sleep upon her knees, and she called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head. And she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. And she said,
The Philistines be upon thee, Samson.
And he awoke out of his sleep, and said,
I will go out as at other times before, and shake myself.
And he wist not that the Lord was departed from him. But the Philistines took him, and put out his eyes, and brought him down to Gaza, and bound him with fetters of brass, and he did grind in the prison house. Howbeit the hair of his head began to grow again after he was shaven. Then the lords of the Philistines gathered them together, for to offer a great sacrifice unto Dagon their god, and to rejoice, for they said,
Our God hath delivered Samson our enemy into our hand.
And when the people saw him, they praised their God, for they said,
Our God hath delivered into our hands our enemy, and the destroyer of our country, which slew many of us.
And it came to pass, when their hearts were merry, that they said,
Call for Samson, that he may make us sport.
And they called for Samson out of the prison house, and he made them sport, and they set him between the pillars. And Samson said unto the lad that held him by the hand,
Suffer me, that I may feel the pillars, whereupon the house standeth, that I may lean upon them.
Now the house was full of men and women, and all the lords of the Philistines were there, and there were upon the roof about 3,000 men and women that beheld while Samson made sport. And Samson called unto the Lord, and said,
O Lord God, remember me, I pray thee, and strengthen me, I pray thee, only this once, O God, that I may be at once avenged of the Philistines for my 2 eyes.
And Samson took hold of the 2 middle pillars, upon which the house stood, and on which it was borne up, of the one with his right hand, and of the other with his left. And Samson said,
Let me die with the Philistines.
And he bowed himself with all his might, and the house fell upon the lords, and upon all the people that were therein. So the dead which he slew at his death were more than they which he slew in his life. Then his brethren and all the house of his father came down, and took him, and brought him up, and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol, in the burying place of Manoah his father. And he judged Israel 20 years. Judges, chapter 17. And there was a man of Mount Ephraim, whose name was Micah. And he said unto his mother,
The 1,100 shekels of silver that were taken from thee, about which thou cursest and speakest of also in mine ears, behold, The silver is with me. I took it.
And his mother said,
Blessed be thou of the Lord, my son.
And when he had restored the 1,100 shekels of silver to his mother said,
I had wholly dedicated the silver unto the Lord from my hand, for my son to make a graven image and a molten image. Now therefore I will restore it unto thee.
Yet he restored the money unto his mother, and his mother took 200 shekels of silver, and gave them to the founder, who made thereof a graven image and a molten image. And they were in the house of Micah. And the man Micah had an house of gods, and made an ephod and teraphim, and consecrated one of his sons, who became his priest. In those days there was no king in Israel, but every man did that which was right in his own eyes. And there was a young man out of Bethlehem, Judah, of the family of Judah, who was a Levite, and he sojourned there. And the man departed out of the city from Bethlehem, Judah, to sojourn where he could find a place. And he came to Mount Ephraim, to the house of Micah, as he journeyed. And Micah said unto him,
Whence comest thou?
And he said unto him,
I am a Levite of Bethlehem, Judah, and I go to sojourn where I may find a place.
And Micah said unto him,
Dwell with me and be unto me a father and a priest, and I will give thee 10 shekels of silver by the year, and a suit of apparel, and thy victuals.
So the Levite went in. And the Levite was content to dwell with the man, and the young man was unto him as one of his sons. And Micah consecrated the Levite, and the young man became his priest, and was in the house of Micah. Then said Micah,
Now know I that the Lord will do me good, seeing that I have a Levite to my priest.
Judges chapter 18. In those days there was no king in Israel. And in those days the tribe of the Danites sought them an inheritance to dwell in. For unto that day all their inheritance had not fallen unto them among the tribes of Israel. And the children of Dan sent of their family 5 men from their coasts, men of valor, from Zorah and from Eshtaol, to spy out the land and to search it. And they said unto them,
Go search the land.
Who, when they came to Mount Ephraim to the house of Micah, they lodged there. When they were by the house of Micah, they knew the voice of the young man the Levite. And they turned in thither, and said unto him,
Who brought thee hither, and what makest thou in this place, and what hast thou here?
And he said unto them,
Thus and thus dealeth Micah with me, and hath hired me, and I am his priest.
And they said unto him,
Ask counsel, we pray thee, of God, that we may know whether our way which we go shall be prosperous.
And the priest said unto them,
Go in peace. Before the Lord is your way, wherein ye go.
Then the 5 men departed and came to Laish, and saw the people that were therein, how they dwelt careless, after the manner of the Zidonians, quiet and secure. And there was no magistrate in the land that might put them to shame in anything, and they were far from the Zidonians, and had no business with any man. And they came unto their brethren to Zorah and Eshtaol, and their brethren said unto them,
What say ye?
And they said,
Arise, that we may go up against them. For we have seen the land, and behold, it is very good. And are ye still? Be not slothful to go and to enter to possess the land. When ye go, ye shall come into a people secure, and to a large land, for God hath given it into your hands, a place where there is no want of anything that is in the earth.
And there went from thence of the family of the Danites, out of Zorah and out of Eshtaol, 600 men appointed with weapons of war. And they went up and pitched in Kirjath-jearim in Judah, wherefore they called that place Mahanadan unto this day. Behold, it is behind Kirjath-jearim. And they passed thence unto Mount Ephraim, and came unto the house of Micah. Then answered the 5 men that went to spy out the country of Laish, and said unto their brethren,
Do ye know that there is in these houses an ephod and teraphim, and a graven image and a molten image? Now therefore consider what ye have to do.
And they turned thitherward, and came to the house of the young man the Levite, even unto the house of Micah, and saluted him. And the 600 men appointed with their weapons of war, which were of the children of Dan, stood by the entering of the gate. And the 5 men that went to spy out the land went up and came in thither, and took the graven image, and the ephod, and the teraphim, and the molten image. And the priest stood in the entering of the gate with the 600 men that were appointed with weapons of war. And these went into Micah's house, and fetched the carved image, the ephod, and the teraphim, and the molten image. Then said the priest unto them,
What do ye?
And they said unto him,
Hold thy peace, lay thine hand upon thy mouth, and go with us, and be to us a father and a priest. Is it better for thee to be a priest unto the house of one man, or that thou be a priest unto a tribe and a family in Israel?
And the priest's heart was glad. And he took the ephod and the teraphim and the graven image, and went in the midst of the people. So they turned and departed, and put the little ones and the cattle and the carriage before them. And when they were a good way from the house of Micah, the men that were in the houses near to Micah's house were gathered together, and overtook the children of Dan. And they cried unto the children of Dan. And they turned their faces, and said unto Micah,
What aileth thee that thou comest with such a company?
And he said,
Ye have taken away my gods which I made, and the priest, and ye are gone away. And what have I more? And what is this that ye say unto me? What aileth thee?
And the children of Dan said unto him,
Let not thy voice be heard among us, lest angry fellows run upon thee, and thou lose thy life with the lives of thy household.
And the children of Dan went their way. And when Micah saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back unto his house. And they took the things which Micah had made, and the priest which he had, and came unto Laish, unto the people that were at quiet and secure. And they smote them with the edge of the sword, and burnt the city with fire. And there was no deliverer, because it was far from Zidon, and they had no business with any man. And it was in the valley that lieth by Beth Rehob. And they built a city, and dwelt therein. And they called the name of the city Dan, after the name of Dan their father, who was born unto Israel. Howbeit the name of the city was Laish at the first. And the children of Dan set up the graven image. And Jonathan the son of Gershom the son of Manasseh, he and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan, until the day of the captivity of the land. And they set them up Micah's graven image, which he made, all the time that the house of God was in Shiloh.
Many Israelites went back to worship the divinities of the nearby peoples with whom they traded and married. And they abandoned Jehovah, the God of their fathers. Therefore, Jehovah, the omnipotent, creator of heaven and earth, gave them into the hands of their enemies.
Forward in the name of Baal!
In the name of Baal, let's go!
These marauders, mostly Philistines, mercilessly raided their lands and stole crops, livestock, and their women, devastating and burning everything they found in their path.
The Philistines are returning! Run!
Take everything!
To urge them to return to their faith, Jehovah was continuously sending prophets and judges such as the wise Deborah and the powerful Gideon to his people. But the children of Israel only obeyed them to save themselves from danger. As soon as the danger was gone, they went back to betraying Jehovah, sinning, and worshipping Baal and gods made of clay or stone, which were worshipped by other people.
What will we do now?
This is the hand of Jehovah. He is the one punishing his people.
In the village of Zoreah in the land of Canaan lived Manoah, an Israeli of the family of the Danites who was still faithful to the Lord. Manoah did not have any children, but one day an angel sent by Jehovah appeared to his wife and announced to her that she'd soon conceive and bear a son who would be a Nazarite, that would be exclusively devoted to God from the womb to the day of his death. And so it happened.
What will you call him?
Samson, son of the sun.
Great God of the Philistines, help your people!
Great God of the Philistines, help your people!
The baby grew, day after day, year after year. His hair was sleek, with 12 locks as a mark of his consecration to God. According to tradition, it should never be cut.
Mother, please listen to me.
I am listening, but you only met her today, and you really want to marry her?
I like her a lot, Mother. She's beautiful. I liked her right away, and I want to marry her.
But she's a Philistine. She worships gods of stone. She's different from us.
She'll learn to worship the true God, I'm sure.
When I introduce myself to her father, he'll throw me out because we're Israelis. If he's a good father, he'll throw me out. He'll ask me where you'll be taking his daughter.
And you, Father, tell him I'll continue to live in his house.
He'll want a really great deal of money.
Give him what he asks for and keep the fruits of my work for yourself, Father.
If our son wants to marry that Philistine girl, I think it could be God's will. Don't you think, Manoah?
Listen to my mother, Father. She bore me and she reads my heart.
We love you very much, Samson. We'll both go with you now to the village of the girl's father.
I bless you, Father.
Well, it's settled. Our children will marry.
When the wedding date was set with Zaphit, the Philistine girl, it was decided that the wedding ceremony would last 7 days. But before the wedding, Samson was tested by Jehovah. One day, going to the vineyard of Timnah, Samson was attacked by a huge roaring lion. Remaining calm, Samson faced it, caught it, and tore it to pieces as if it were a toy. Then he left the dead lion to the vultures as prey. Sometime later, Samson passed by the same way, and he wanted to see what had happened to the body of the lion. He found it putrefied, but still intact, covered by a swarm of bees coming out from a huge hole in the belly. Samson put his hand in and drew it back full of honey. He ate the honey on his return home. The day of celebration finally came. As a game, Samson set a riddle for the guests.
Explain it to me within the 7 days of the party. I'll give you 30 tunics and 30 clothes. But if you're not able to guess it, you'll give me 30 tunics and 30 clothes. This is the riddle. Food came out of the eater, sweet came out of the strong.
He explained the solution to his bride, who was forced by her father to explain it to the guests.
What is the answer to the riddle?
And so I revealed the solution.
When Samson found out that his bride had disclosed to the Philistines the solution of the riddle, he became very angry.
No!
Then the father of Zaphet took back the word he had given to Samson and gave his daughter in marriage to another man, a Philistine friend of his. And he forbade Samson from seeing her. And Samson declared war on the Philistines. Samson took refuge in a cavern on the rocks of Etam. One day, while he was standing and looking at a wide wheat field, he thought about which way he could take revenge on the hated Philistines, and everything became clear to him. He went back into the cavern where he had locked up 300 jackals. He captured, and he took one of them.
Now the Philistines will know of what Samson is capable of.
He tied a little sheaf of dry straw to the tail of the jackal. He lit it and let the poor animal run across the wheat field. Then he did the same thing with all the other jackals, and when they crossed the wheat field too, they caused an enormous fire, and the loss of the wheat, of course.
This is Samson's work.
What will the
Philistines do
what
to
will
us
happen
now?
to us?
Samson, we are forced to deliver you to the Philistines, otherwise they'll kill us all. You must come with us.
Samson offered his hands and obeyed as they were tied together. Then he was fastened with 20 ropes around his body as though he were a wild beast. The people took him and delivered him to the Philistines to be punished for what he had done.
Now we'll tear your eyes out and burn you.
But while he was surrounded by the Philistines, Samson showed his incredible strength once more. With a violent pull, he freed himself to confront the soldiers with his bare hands. Then he took a bone from the skeleton of an animal and began to whirl it like a club against the men and against their swords until he had defeated them all. After checking round, he mounted a camel and quickly disappeared. For the people of Israel, Samson became a hero, since he was able to single-handedly defeat the Philistines. He became a legend in the villages and cities inhabited by the people of Israel.
Samson is a hero. He defeated all the Philistines by himself.
And Samson became a legend to the Hebrew people. For over 20 years he was a judge in Israel, and the people turned to him when they needed protection and justice. And for over 20 years no one was ever able to defeat him. After wandering from one place to another, finally Samson arrived in the city of Gaza, but the Philistines were waiting for him, and that same night they closed the city gates to trap him and to take their revenge. At about midnight, Samson went towards the gate to get out, and he realized then the trap the Philistines had set. With the enormous strength of his bare hands, he tore down the gate and escaped their revenge once more. Samson fled into the valley of Sorek, and when he arrived in a square, he saw a young woman who was drawing water from a well. He looked at her for a long time. Then he dismounted the camel, moved closer, and said,
"Excuse me, I'm thirsty. Will you give me some water to drink?" Who are you?
My name is Delilah, stranger.
You are beautiful and your eyes are wonderful.
I'm a Philistine. Which region do you come from? If you want, you may come into my house.
I am an Israeli and I'm faithful to my God.
Come with me. I'll take you to my father.
Delilah took Samson into her father's home to refresh and to feed him. Samson, enchanted by her, fell in love with her to the extent that he stayed for some time in her home. And then, one day,
Delilah, we are friends of your father. Do you recognize us?
Yes, I know you. But what do you want from me? Tell me.
Nothing you can't do.
I'll see if I can help you.
You want your father alive, don't you, Delilah?
Why? What has he done? What do you want from him?
We already talked to him and we established that...
Your father and us have established that you have to deliver Samson, the Israeli.
Me? How will I do that?
You must try to seduce him and force him to tell you where his strength comes from. You must do this, Delilah.
But he'll never disclose his secret to me.
If you succeed, Delilah, we will give you...
We will give you 1,100 silver pieces. Otherwise, you will lose your father.
Delilah tried every possible means to make Samson divulge his secret, but Samson made fun of her. Threatened by the lords of the Philistines, Delilah tried desperately one last time.
This wine is nectar. Give me some more.
You live in my house, drink my father's wine, sleep under his roof, and have your way with me, but your heart is cold.
Why do you talk to me like that? What have I done?
You don't trust me, Samson, and you don't love me.
Your curiosity is annoying, Delilah.
And you jealously protect your secrets like a child.
My strength is all here, Delilah. It's all in my hair. When I was born, I was consecrated to the God of Israel, and my parents promised that my hair would never be shaven.
It's a gift of your God, then.
The generous wine and Delilah's tenderness made Samson fall asleep. But the Philistines were hidden there, ready to go into action at a sign from Delilah to take Samson and put him in chains. While Samson slept, Delilah, armed with a huge and sharp knife, cut one by one all Samson's plaits and let them fall to the ground. Then she showed herself at her front door and called for the Philistines, who ran up in great number.
Delilah, Delilah, Delilah!
It's useless calling her. Delilah betrayed you, Samson.
There's no need to beat him up. We blinded him.
Now we'll take him to Gaza. He'll push the lever of the well for the rest of his life.
Look at him for the last time. This was the strongest of the Israelites.
The Philistines took Samson to the city of Gaza and shut him in a prison. The prison of Gaza was a fortress in the center of the city. It was protected by high walls and by an enormous iron gate. Inside it, there was a courtyard with a big millstone. Samson was chained to it and forced to make it turn. The people of the city had become curious because of the fame that preceded Samson's arrival, so they gathered there in great number at the gate and commented upon him.
Did you see what they did to him?
He was the strongest man in the world, and a woman was enough to reduce him to this?
Now Samson had an enormous trouble turning that millstone, because working animals were used to do it generally. Even the last donkey that had been freed from that tough work seemed to like making fun of him. At sunset, after another day of that extremely tough work, Samson was unchained and taken to a wretched cell where he spent his nights. Only comforted by the faint light of the moon filtering through a little window.
Lord, I cry my sin. I beg your forgiveness, and I cry my sin, Lord. Forgive me.
Time went by, and the day came when the Philistine princes gathered to celebrate and offer to Dagon, their god, a great sacrifice.
Today is Dagon's day, and Samson will be sacrificed.
They say that Samson can jump up like a cricket and strike the enemies without seeing them.
Do you think the priest will remove his chains?
No, it would be a risk for all of us Philistines.
Samson.
The guards should have already killed him. Death to him! Death to him! Death to him!
Let me pass, I want to kill him.
Back off! Death to him! Death to him! Death to him!
Go in! The god is waiting for you. Don't make him wait, Samson.
What's the name of this god?
Dagon. He's the greatest and strongest of the Philistines' gods.
But he's a god of stone, a ridiculous god of stone. It's not my god. My god is Jehovah alone, the Almighty.
Go in! The god is waiting for you. Don't make him wait, Samson.
Oh God, Dagon, today we'll offer sacrifice to you. Almighty God, Dagon, send us your protection.
Samson! Do you recognize my voice, Samson?
Delilah, yours is the voice of sin and betrayal.
Then you recognize me. Samson, you still remember me. I'm no longer afraid of you. Today is your turn to be afraid, because you will be sacrificed to our God.
Don't exult in your victory, Delilah. Look at my hand. It grew back. Jehovah's enemies and all those who betrayed will now be punished.
Helped by the Lord, who gave him back his terrible strength, Samson took great revenge on all the Philistine princes and people that were inside and outdoors of the temple, because the number of Philistines that died beneath the wreckage was greater than the number of those that Samson had killed during his whole life. His brothers and all those in the house of his father set out from their land to take Samson's lifeless body and bring it home with them. His kindred turned back to their lands with the coffin and buried it, and paid homage to Samson in the sepulchre of Manoah, his father. In his youth, Samson had been a judge in Israel for 20 years.
To you, O Lord, I lift my soul. In deep distress I cry. I need your mercy every hour. Oh, heal me from on high. If you, O Lord, should mark our sins, who could before you stand? Forgiveness comes from you alone, and mercy from your hand. I will wait for you. I will wait, my Lord. I will wait for you, more than watchmen for the dawn, more than watchmen for the dawn. Come put your trust in God alone. His mercy never fails. Redemption's light has dawned on us. Behold the coming day. I will wait for you. I will wait, my Lord. I will wait for you, more than watchmen for the dawn. I will wait for you. I will wait, my Lord. I will wait for you, more than watchmen for the dawn. I will wait for you. I will wait, my Lord. I will wait for you, more than watchmen for the dawn, more than watchmen for the dawn. Hold your cross ever before me. May it drive me to my knees. I confess my sin and folly. Lay my pride at Calvary. Who could face divine displeasure? Who could bear the deadly weight? This my plea, the blood of Jesus, Lamb of God, for sin is slain. Hold your cross ever before me. Let it lift me to my feet. Let your glorious wounds assure me. Here from sin I stand redeemed. You have called me your beloved. You have named me as your own. In each blessing, in each trial, nothing good will you withhold. Hold your cross ever before me as I walk the narrow way, as I lay down earthly glory. Give me strength for every day. All I have I give to Jesus. He himself is my reward. There is blessing in his service, poor in spirit, rich in God. Hold your cross ever before me, herald of the conquered grave, for the joy now set before me. I will run and not grow faint. I will fix my eyes on Jesus. I will trust in Christ alone till he lifts me up to glory, till my Savior calls me home. I will fix my eyes on Jesus. I will trust in Christ alone till he lifts me up to glory, till my Savior